Want to welcome everybody. We're getting real close to the start date. A lot of things going on. I know there's a lot of questions you guys must have, so we brought in the number one person or the number one question answerer at the law school, Dean Mazza. Brianna Honshu is also joining us, and she knows a lot about orientation and other stuff. And the goal of today is just to answer all your questions. Dean, I'm going to ask Dean Mazza a few questions just to start off, but then we're going to just open it up to the floor. Feel free to post either on the chat space or you can unmute yourself and ask a question. We really want this to be open-ended, and we'll try to answer every question. If we can't get an answer to the question right away, we'll look it up and post it on Facebook later today. So thank you so much for joining us. Without any further, let's get started. So Dean Mazza, yesterday we sent out an email about enrollment. We notified everybody that after a little bit of a delay, the enrollment process has started. I think most of our students probably have all of their classes on their enroll and pay account by now, although there might be a few students still waiting for one or more classes. So if I could start just by asking you a few questions about the enrollment process and the classes in the fall. First of all, could you clarify some of the terms that are showing up on the schedules?
Sure. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing most of you in the building here, not next week, but the week after. So I guess it's been about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we had the faculty indicate whether they would teach classes in person, online, or some hybrid of the two. And based upon that information, that allowed us to finalize the fall schedule. So the university has come up with 4 categories of classes. There are in-person classes, which, as the name would suggest, are primarily live in person. There are online classes, which, again, as the name suggests, are primarily online. Then they came up with 2 different categories of hybrid classes. There is something called hybrid online, and there's something called hybrid hybrid in person. And I had the charts pulled up to look at. I can't seem to find them at the moment. In any event, in the email that that went out, I think there was a link to the explanations. You know, here's how it's going to work at the law school level. If a class is designated as in person, it's going to meet 100% in person. So you'll come to class. It will take place just as a traditional class would. An online class will take place entirely online. And then a hybrid class will involve some mixture of in-person and online. And, I don't know that it matters all that much whether it's designated as hybrid online or hybrid in person. As far as I know, we have 1 class as part of the first year program that will be offered entirely online, and that's Professor Young's criminal law class. He plans to do asynchronous lectures. So he will go ahead, create lectures, post them to a site, probably going to be a Blackboard site. You will be responsible for viewing those lectures in advance of live Zoom discussion sections, where he will ask you a bunch of questions about the asynchronous lectures. The live sections, the live online will be very much like a regular law school class. All of the legal writing classes will be in person. All of the contracts classes are in person. Professor Hines is going to teach her Civ Pro small section in a hybrid format. So you'll be coming to class on some days, I believe it's Wednesday, and you will be online on other days. And then there are some more complicated classes. So take Professor Mulligan's large civil procedure section and Professor Stacy's large criminal law section. Well, each of those classes has 44 students in the class. Because of social distancing, the largest class at the law school only holds 33 students. So the way both of those professors will handle their class, on 3 of the 4 days, you will show up in person. And on 1 of the days, you will participate remotely, because that will allow us to accommodate 33 students live in the classroom. And then the remaining 11 will participate online, but we will break you into 4 groups. So you will know what day you will be Zooming in rather than actually sitting in that classroom. Now, here's one of the problems with our registration system. Our registration system is not set up to make that sort of allocation. So if you're in either of those classes, just hold tight. We will be sending you an email, and we will let you know the day on which you will participate remotely. It's just that the system is not set up to do that. So, and here's the other thing that I would say to you. If you have any questions whatsoever about how your class is going to be conducted, then you should reach out to your professors. I have already put them on notice that, you know, this is going to be a semester where communication is going to be key. So if you have any questions about how class will be conducted, go ahead and reach out to your professors, with the possible exception of Professors Mulligan and Stacy, who we're still trying to decide how to make that break between what day you'll participate remotely. Everybody else can go ahead and tell you what their plans are for the fall, so you will have that information. It turns out that only a handful of folks in your entering class decided to participate entirely remotely. The university is going to send out an email to all of you asking you basically the same question that we asked you earlier, whether you want to participate remotely or whether you want to participate in person. I realize that you have already filled out that information for us, but I'm going to have to ask you to also respond to the university's request once it comes out. We wanted to get ahead of this. We wanted that information earlier than the university was going to collect it. So I received permission to go ahead and collect it on the condition that you comply with the university's request when they send that out. So if that email requires that you respond, I'm not sure what it's going to look like. They haven't finalized it yet. Maybe it'll say, well, you know, if you're going to participate in person, you don't need to reply. And only if you're going to participate remotely do they want you to reply. But nonetheless, take a look at the email when it comes out. And if it requires some response on your part, I would really appreciate it if you would respond so that I can follow through on my commitment to the university to have the law school participate.
Dean Mazza, I just want to note to everyone that next week's Zoom chat is with the 1L professors. So
terrific.
Bree, how many do we have lined up?
All of them except the lawyering professors, which were on last week's or 2 weeks ago Zoom chat.
So next week will be an excellent opportunity. And of course, we record these. So if you can't make next week, you can hear them. And of course, as Dean Mazza said, you can also reach out to them individually to get information. But this should make next week's chat really important, I think. So.
Yes, again, though, we welcome you to go ahead and reach out. If you have questions about your schedule generally, you can get in touch with either Steve or Bree, or you can get in touch with me directly. You can also reach out to our registrar, Vicki Palmer. If you sort of have more global questions about your schedule, if you have questions about, how a particular class will be conducted, in that case, it would be best to go ahead and reach out to the individual professor. You'll get a quicker and more complete answer to that.
Could you talk about the back-to-back classes that have, I think a lot of students have some back-to-back classes. I think for some students, that's probably great. Other students might think that's a long day. Is this something we did because of the current situation, or have we done it in the past? Or if you could talk about that.
Yeah, so, we've always had back-to-back classes. The odd thing about the law school is that we have these 4-credit classes. And faculty teach either at the front of the week. Typically, faculty will teach either at the front of the week or the end of the week. So they'll teach Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or they'll teach Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we break them up that way to sort of accommodate our schedule. Well, with a 4-credit class, if you're only teaching 3 days a week, it goes without saying that you're going to teach that class more than once on one of those particular days. And while we do try not to schedule classes back to back, given the social distancing limitations, which also limited the use of our rooms at the law school, I think this year we probably do have more classes that are butting up against one another. We will be sending you, hopefully by the end of this week, information about study space at the law school. So, I realize if you're taking Civ Pro in person and then within 15 minutes, you need to sign on to, Professor Young's online criminal law class, that may not give you enough time to get to your apartment or get to your home and sign on to Zoom. So we are aware of that. And we will have empty classrooms available where you can sit and participate in your online classes in those venues. We will have study carols within the law library. We'll send out a form that you can use to sign up for a study carol. There are study rooms at the law school library. There are also, just tables that will accommodate students who want to participate in classes or do some studying and class prep between classes. And then we also understand that the university is going to construct a series of tents. These are circus kind of tents all around campus, and we're going to have one right next to the law school that will be Wi-Fi enabled. So if it happens to be a nice day like it is today, you'll also have the option of going out and logging onto your computer and participating in a class from one of those available spaces. Make sure you got a pair of headphones so that as you're participating, you're not interfering with anybody else who might be participating in a different course. But we are certainly aware of those challenges, and we will be just as accommodating as we possibly can within the confines of social distancing.
Great. At this point, I'm going to invite folks just to ask your questions. Like I said, you can either unmute yourself, or if you prefer, you can use the chat function. And any question, comments, concerns, that's what Dean Mazza is here for, and myself for that matter. So Doug Bartell has the first question. Where will we be allowed to eat lunch during the day since food is not allowed in the building? Will the underground and other cafeterias be open not just to purchase food, but also to eat?
So we were checking on this earlier in the week. Some of the dining halls will be open. It will largely be, sort of get your stuff and head on out. But, at the Burge, not at the Burge, the DeBruce Center, which is the nearest dining facility to the law school, The plans are that it will be open. They will have carryout service. You can dine in, but the tables will be subject to social distancing. So you may find that you go over there to get your food and there are simply no seats available. You know, again, subject to social distancing, you could have a seat in the tent. There's seating around the law school, but our understanding is that because eating necessitates the removal of a mask, that is not going to be allowed in common areas around the law school.
Sure. Yeah, I think folks will have to be creative. My understanding is that you know, you can probably bring a Cliff Bar, and I mean, I'm not encouraging that, of course, but the goal is to prevent people from congregating together at lunchtime, and also to help the facilities folks, because they're going to be on triple duty, having to help sanitize and clean stuff. So if they're having to deal with you know, food type situations, that's really going to make it hard for them to accomplish their task of keeping everybody healthy. So to the extent that people can do this, we know it's going to be a difficult to kind of fit in eating with a long day, but you know, we're all going to have to figure out ways to do it, and we'll do that.
Yeah, and as additional information, there's, you know, normally during the semester there would be a lunch hour that would run from 2:30 to 1:35. Because we're extending the time between classes, that period of time has been reduced to 40 minutes. But you will have 40 minutes from, I think it's basically 12:35 to 1:15, or it's somewhere in that neighborhood, to grab some lunch or consume lunch if you brought it yourselves. So there will be an open period of time in which to take care of that.
The next question is from Steve Hendler. What hours will Green Hall and the Law Library be accessible?
So our plan is to have our normal hours. So I don't know when we open. Bree, do you know? I know we're open at least at 8. I just don't know whether we're open at 7 or not. Isn't that terrible? I'm not a morning.
I'm gonna look it up right online. So
yeah.
Why don't we go to the next question while I'm looking that up? Hold on.
Okay.
Which is from Aubrey Miller. Will we have to quarantine while waiting for the results of the saliva COVID test?
So my understanding is that that's not going to be a mandate from the university. As a matter of fact, testing will be available for all students, faculty, and staff, and we strongly encourage you to take advantage of those tests. At this point, information about when, where, and how those tests will be administered is still being finalized. But yes, we would strongly encourage everyone who's going to come in our building to have tested. There is, as I think I mentioned to you during one of these earlier Zoom sessions, there will also be an app that you will download on your phone, where you will every day before you come in the building, you will confirm that you have no COVID symptoms, and you will scan that app right after you enter the building. If you are unable to agree or to confirm that you do not have any of these symptoms, then we don't want you coming into the building. As a matter of fact, we have requested from the university that our building be closed to the public, and that's our expectation. So only law students, faculty, and staff will be allowed into our building. And we want to, make sure that everyone who is coming in uses the app. And our expectation is that everyone is going to comply strictly with the university's health and safety guidelines. I guess it was last week, the Kansas Board of Law Examiners, hosted the bar exam here on campus. Most students took the exam over at the Burge Union, and we had a handful of students who were taking it here at the law school. And we sort of viewed this experience as a trial run for classes. There were about 110 students who were taking that exam, which happens to be about the size of a single class at the law school. And I have to say, by all accounts, everything went really smoothly. We had no problems with anyone failing to comply with the health and safety standards. Students, sort of came in an orderly fashion. We mandated social distancing. Everyone wore a mask while in the building. They wore their masks during the bar exam. So, gosh, if we can develop that sort of norm within the law school during the fall semester, I think that would be terrific, where everyone is thinking about the health of others by, using sanitizer and washing your hands and making sure that your mask is properly fitted and that you're wearing it at all times. If we can have that kind of compliance, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
All right, and just to let you know, I think for the ones that I can answer directly on the chat, I'll do that. I just answered Jaden's question because we got some great questions here, lots of great questions. Oh, and I should follow up on the quarantine. For those of you traveling from other states, the state of Kansas does have a quarantine. Right now, I just looked it up. It's only the state of Florida. And it's not necessarily whether you're a resident, it's whether you have traveled, you're a traveler to Florida. There's also categories like if you've been on a cruise ship or river cruise, but hopefully no one's doing that. If you're doing international travel, you might have to quarantine also. If you're unsure, and it looks like Florida is the only state right now, just Google Kansas quarantine, and you'll get the state government website. So, we want everyone to follow the state guidelines and laws. No one is, well, I don't know, maybe that app, I don't know if that app is going to question students about recent travel or not. That's a possibility, but play it safe, get here by August 5th, and then you'll be fine. But if you're coming later, check the Kansas website. It does change, and we, encourage students to follow Kansas state guidelines.
I also want to make it clear, if you find yourself in a situation where you need to go into quarantine, we will accommodate you. So again, the key is communication. And we will be preparing a guide that will give you all of this information so you'll know who to contact in order to make those disclosures. But if you do find yourself in that situation, then your professors will allow you to participate remotely during the period of time that you're, feeling poorly, or you're just in quarantine because you came in contact with an individual who had the virus. So again, just make sure that you stay in touch with us. Do not fear sort of negative ramifications and just assume that the answer is going to be no. We're going to be as flexible and as accommodating as we can be this semester, because we know that, things are just kind of tough all around. So stay in touch with us, and we can work out situations like that.
Next question.
What were the building hours? I'm curious.
I had to send, on the website it says building closed. So I sent an email to Pam Crawford asking her to contact us back. Bree seems to know that in the morning it's 7:30. Is that correct?
Yes,
Bree?
that's if you look up the Wheat Law Library, that's still the time they have listed.
And we close at 10 o'clock during the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
during normal times.
I'll tell you what, I'll get confirmation from Pam Crawford, and if we get it during this Zoom chat, I'll announce it. If not, I'll post it on Facebook. So we'll have that answer for everybody soon. Of course, just to note, now the library is closed to everybody.
Yeah.
So this is when school starts back up, as is the building for that matter. Next question. This is one, we've been getting a few students asking this question. Might be a difficult one to answer right now, but if students want to take, for example, Professor Young's online class or want to switch sections, can they request to change classes or change their section?
So this is not one of our practices. There is a method to the madness when it comes to assigning you a particular section. You know, if you have, well, first of all, for those folks who did request entirely online learning, we have done our best to put you in sections that are entirely online or that are in hybrid classes. So if that's part of what's generating the question, we have already anticipated that. If it's a matter of a more convenient time, our policy has always been that we assign you sections, and we're not. We typically don't move those around. You know, but again, in the spirit of the age in which we live, if you have a reason for wanting to revise the schedule, I cannot guarantee you that we're going to be able to allow you to do that, but at the same time, I don't want you not to ask. So just, you know, there could be extraordinary circumstances that would allow for that, but they would be extraordinary.
To keep it simple, folks are welcome to send those requests to me, and then I'll circulate them with Dean Terranova and Dean Mazza, and we'll see. So what's the next question? This one's for Bree. Shelby Gates asks, is there a specific schedule for 1L orientation? I'll say yes, there definitely is. So let me ask Bree, when should students expect to receive the schedule for orientation?
First off, can everyone hear me okay? Okay, because I'm using these new headphones and it's making me echo, so I can't tell if you can hear me or not. So the schedule is set, but I need to divide you up into the 4 groups that you will be in. And I am trying to keep you within the types of sections that you're in your classes. So once enrollment is done, then I can start splitting you guys up. So that's why you haven't gotten your schedule yet. It will vary, as we talked about before. There's going to be parts that are going to be in the morning, and then if you're in a morning class in person, then it will flip to online in the afternoon and vice versa. So you will be getting those, I'm hoping, by mid next week. It's just whenever the registrar can tell me enrollment is complete, here are the lists, here's where everyone's at, then I can go ahead and get you all split up into your 4 groups for orientation, and you would have those schedules. The plan is to post a master list, and then I will create individual schedules for each group so no one's confused. Some of the in-person things are, there's going to be an introduction by Dean Mazza. There's going to be a lot of your lawyering boot camp that we talked about a couple weeks ago with the lawyering professors. That will be in person. Things like career services presentation. There's a presentation by Dean Terranova. Those are going to be held on Zoom, but live. And then there are a lot of little videos for you to watch as well. And that would be done on your own time. So we've tried to just keep it as safe, but also with community as possible. There's going to be little events as well. and Dean Terranova is working on planning those. So you will get its schedule. I'm sorry I couldn't split you guys up earlier, but we're trying to wait for orientation to be done first, or sorry, enrollment to be done.
And I just want to make a note on your enroll and pay schedules. It looks like on August 24th and 25th that you'll be in your classes. That's actually, we have no way to block those dates off on the enrollment and pay system. Monday, the 24th, Tuesday, the 25th, you'll still be in orientation. So your regular law school classes will begin on Wednesday, the 26th. That being said, all of your orientation is mandatory. So definitely plan on being there. Let's see, whoops, I just closed the screen, so I can't, here we go.
It's all right. I had a chance to take a look at
Okay.
questions. So what's great about these calls is you often raise issues that we hadn't thought about. So one question was, will the law library be open after Thanksgiving to prepare for exams? You know, my response to that is, if the university will allow us to keep the building open, then yes. But we will need to check and make sure that we would be authorized to keep the building open. Someone asked a practical question. You know, what if you're zooming into a class and you're in a study carrel? Won't that bother other folks? Well, yep, there is the potential for that. But if everybody's wearing headphones, then you know maybe it won't be as much of a problem. But we will, as I said, we will make classrooms available for online participation. And you know, if we can reserve them for particular classes where everyone is in the same class and viewing the same class online, then you know that would be ideal. But we're still working on that. And yes, if you're participating via Zoom and you're in the building, you will have to wear a carrel. I went over with a couple of other professors to the Bird Union last week, where we're going to be hosting some of our classes, and we tested out the technology. And you know, we did find a few glitches, but we were able to work through most of those. And the sound systems in the classrooms are pretty good. So we had Professor Rosenberg, who was wearing a cloth face mask as well as a plastic shield, and she was participating via Zoom. We could hear her, she could hear us. So, you know, there are probably going to be the first couple of days where we might still be working out some of these kinks, but you know, eventually we'll figure it out as best we can. Also a question about, well, if I miss a class, will the class be recorded? We are strongly encouraging our faculty to record all of their classes. I would like to say that the answer will be yes, that those classes will be available. Now, bear in mind, in normal times, if you are absent, then you know those classes are not recorded. But this semester will just be as accommodating as we possibly can.
I just received word back from Pam. Her response is, we don't know yet. Chris sent our latest policies draft to the dean last week. I'd like to know our hours too. Smiley face colon thing. So.
Oh, so it's up to me?
I think so. Yes.
Oh, cool.
So once we have that, folks, of course, we'll post that. I guess, but one good follow-up that was in the questions. Do we plan to have the library open on the weekends?
So typically the library is open from 12 to 5 on Saturdays and from noon till 10 o'clock on Sundays. And I am hopeful that that will be the same schedule.
Okay. Scrolling through to see if we missed any. I think we're good. If you guys have more questions, now's a good time to, I think we're caught up with all the, unless we missed someone, and feel free to chime in there if we missed your question. Well, while we're waiting to see if people have more questions, do you have any thoughts about how the fall is going to go, how we're going to approach the fall, and kind of big picture kind of thoughts?
We are going to be flexible and adaptive. That and we're those are going to be the keys. That along with communication. Some of these issues are subject to university guidance, and we do, defer to the university on a lot of these questions. They're still finalizing some of the policies. They're still finalizing information about testing and about some other access issues. But we'll just sort of have our plans in place, and if they need to be adjusted to account for the current situation, then we're ready to do so.
Oh, and I'd like to let everyone know about something we're working on. Normally when the school year starts, we have lots of students, the admissions office is located right on the first floor by a lot of the classrooms. We always have folks coming in all day long, and of course at the library in the front office. Well, this fall, we're not going to be there to answer, and you always ask all those questions that new students have, and we're not going to be physically there. So we are setting up some sort of online, what we call a help desk. So every little question you have, where is this, where is that, who do I talk to for this, how do I get this? We're still going to be available for you on an immediate basis. We're enlisting the entire staff, not just admissions, but all the staff to monitor it and pitch in, so that we'll be right there with you virtually, even if we can't be there in person. So let's see, we do have another question from Colin Lavery. Colin asks, if our class is online, will the final exam be online, or will we be in a classroom for an online class final?
So all classes, our expectation is that all exams will be administered remotely. So the whole idea of completing classes before the Thanksgiving break is for students to return home and then not have to return back to Lawrence if they choose not to do so. So there's the method to that madness. Consistent with that, exams will be administered remotely online. Now, there are a couple of professors who will likely give more interim assessments during the semester than they otherwise would have, because they value the in-class exam experience. So, you may have a first-year class where you're taking a couple of midterms, and then you might take a pass-fail final remotely. But your faculty will certainly tell you how they're going to determine the grades. But we don't anticipate that you will be coming back to campus for the purpose of taking an in-person final exam. We will have no in-person final exams once classes conclude.
Okay, Jaden asked a good follow-up. Will the final exams be proctored?
At the moment, we do not anticipate that they will be proctored, that you will get an online exam, and under our honor code, if there's any indication that you did not follow the guidelines set out by your professors, including things like not seeking the assistance of others or online sources, if you're not willing to comply with those, then we would have to bring honor code charges.
Yeah, I think, I've been here, this is my 10th year, and with rare exception, I think it's a professional school, and students, I think, understand the importance of the honor code and respecting the integrity of the system.
Yeah, I can give you an example of my own exam from the spring. So I gave my exam remotely. Um, the students logged in to the online exam system, and they were then given access to the exam itself, and they had 4 hours in which to complete the final exam. Um, the computer kept up with when you logged on and when you logged off. So I was able to monitor whether you exceeded the 4-hour limitation. Um, and then I think, at least the way I construct my exams, you really have no, I can't say it would be impossible to cheat, but believe me, you are so busy during those 4 hours that if you spent any time trying to gather information from another source, you have shot yourself in the foot, because that is time that you could have used to draft a really good answer to the exam question. So again, we did not experience any issues about this in the spring, and we're not anticipating any in the fall. There is some sort of online software that it's a proctoring software. So it turns on the camera in your computer, and it will monitor the exam taker. You know, we're not anticipating that we will be using that technology. But
Law school exams are tend to be open-ended. They don't, even if you are that kind of person, you'd have a hard time finding a way to effectively cheat, to use, for lack of a better word. So the best way to do well in law school is definitely just to learn the material back when for, like the back of your hand, and write it out and get it done.
yeah,
So yeah,
as I say, I do think you may end up having more interim assessments in the fall semester to sort of make up for the fact that some professors may not want the bulk of the grade determined based upon a final exam that is administered remotely.
Steve Hendler asked a question. I'm not sure I know the answer to this. At one point, there was discussion that we could order books from KU Bookstore and they would be delivered to Green Hall. Is that accurate?
Bree, is that still in the works? Can we arrange for that?
So the bookstore website says that you can order your books online and have them shipped to your destination of choice, or you can pick them up in the bookstore itself. So you will not be able to go physically to the bookstore and buy your books then. But if you order them online, you can either pick them up at the KU bookstore, or they will ship them for free during the period from August 7th to August 19th. And I can post this website. So it's just kind of up to whether or not your office, Dean Mazza, is able to accept delivery of those books if someone chooses to ship them to Green. But they will ship to your destination of choice for free.
Yeah. If anyone would like to have them shipped to the law school, just get in touch with us, and we can arrange for that.
Yeah, I would suggest that for pretty much everyone, it probably makes more sense to ship to your home. But if you're traveling or in transit or something like that, and you don't have an address to send it to, that would be when I would suggest contacting us. But we could probably accommodate, 5 or 10 people doing that. 300 people shipping to the law school would probably not work too well for us. So,
if you have them shipped to the bookstore, Bree, did you say that was an option?
The bookstore will have them available for pickup if you choose that option.
Okay. We could arrange to pick up the books from the bookstore and have them available in Green Hall if that's something that folks would prefer. So, again, we want to be as accommodating as we can. So get in touch with us and we can arrange for that.
Great. If there aren't any more questions at this moment, and of course, this is not the end of the conversation, you can contact me or Brianna or Dean Mazza We'll each type I'll type my email address on there. Although I'm just sending this to Bree. We are here to answer your questions and to get you as much information as we can. But I want to thank everyone for joining us. Thank Bree and Dean Mazza. I think it's been a really productive conversation. We will post this on the website. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, go ahead, Dean Mazza.
Okay. So did want to mention, we are putting together a guide to Green Hall. It will reference a lot of the practices and procedures that have been put in place by the university, but we will make it Green Hall specific. So we're still waiting on some of those policies to be finalized. As soon as they are, we'll fit them into our document and we will get that document to you. So it will show you things like what doors to enter in Green Hall, which staircases are up staircases and which are down, where are the hand sanitizing stations, information like that, as well as information about health and safety guidelines.
And then I was just going to remind everyone that for the next few Thursday nights, there are going to be virtual student organization fairs. So I will be making an event in the Facebook group for everyone to see. And yeah.
Great.
All righty. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great day.